Alright, in this video we'll be multiplying polynomials. This is going to be a part 1 of this video. There's 2 parts to this. Alright, part 1 we're going to cover 3 examples, and then in part 2 we'll be covering 2 more examples. Okay, so hopefully I will cover all the examples that you will see in the upcoming book work, any classwork, worksheets, quizzes, and or tests. Alright, so when multiplying, what I like to do is I like to take the polynomial with the least amount of terms and put that in the front. So what I mean by that, see, this polynomial has 1, 2, 3 terms, and this only has 2 terms. So I like to put this one in the front. So I like to rewrite it. A lot of times everything will be set up for you, but it's your preference what you want to do. What we're going to do here, we are going to distribute. Distribute means multiply. I'm going to take this x and I'm going to multiply by every single term in here. Then I'm going to take the negative 3 and I'm going to multiply every single term in here. Now, to know that, or to give me an indication if I did it correctly, well, if there's 3 terms here and 2 terms, well, when I multiply everything through, I should get a total of 3 times 2 is, I should get 6 terms. All right, it's a good indication if I get 6 terms that at least I did something right. So here we go. So I'm going to take x times x squared, so that's negative x cubed. X times 2x is positive 2x squared. Then x times 4 is 4x. Alright, then I'm going to take negative 3, multiply it through. So negative 3 times negative x squared is a positive 3x squared. Negative 3 times a positive 2x is a negative 6x. And then negative 3 times a positive 4 is a negative 12. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is 6 terms. So it's a good indication that I did this correctly. Now this goes right back to adding and subtracting polynomials. Just combine like terms. So here's my biggest one, is a cubic. It's the only one, so I can just keep that. Quadratic is my next largest, so I have a quadratic here and here. So I'll go ahead, 3 and a 2, that gives me 5x squared. Linear terms, I got a 4 and a negative 6, so it gives me a negative 2x. And then I just have one constant term, so I just write that. And then I am finished. So I have a new polynomial. So multiplying polynomials, your first step is multiply everything through, and after that it just becomes like we did in the last video. You just add and subtract like terms. All right, so let's look at another example. Alright, see here I got 2 terms and 3 terms, so I should get a total of 6 terms. Right, and it's very similar to this. In other words, they were nice to us, or I'm nice to you right now because I put this right in front. So again, we just do the same steps. So here we go. I'm going to do x times 3x, so it gives me 3x cubed. X times a negative 2x, it gives me a negative 2x squared. And then x times negative 4 gives me negative 4x. And negative 3 times 3 is a negative 9x squared. Negative 3 times negative 2 is a positive 6x, and then negative 3 times negative 4 is a positive 12. Now we just combine like terms. So the largest is a cubic, so it's the only one, so I keep it. Quadratics, I got a negative 2 and a negative 9, so it's a negative 11x squared. Linears, I got a negative 4 and a positive 6, so that gives me a positive 2. And then my constant, which is 12. And there is my new polynomial. Alright, another example. Now this one has only 1 term, and this has 3 terms. So 1 times 3 is 3 terms. So I should only have 3 terms when I multiply this through. Here, this is called a monomial. Alright, this is only 1 term. So I'm just going to multiply this through, or by each of these terms, and I'll be done. So here we go. 5x times 3x squared is 5 times 3 is 15. X times x squared is x cubed. Then I take 5x times the negative x. So 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. x times x is x squared. And then my last term, so I'll take 5x times 3. So 5 times 3 is 15, and I have the x. And you notice here, none of the terms are the same, so I am finished. Last example. All right, now you notice here, this is this type, I got 2 terms, 2 terms, and 2 terms. If I multiply them together, 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8, so I should get 8 terms when I'm done multiplying out before I begin adding and subtracting like terms. This one takes a while. It's still easy, but there's a lot more steps involved. All right. So what I like to do is I like to keep the first group by itself. Just leave it the way it is. The second group right here, I want to multiply that. All right. So let me cover that up. So I am now going to multiply. Let me zoom in a little bit better. All right, so here we go. I'm going to do x times x is x squared. Then x times 3 is 3x. Then 4 times x is 4x. And then 4 times 3 is 12. And you notice this is excuse me. I use FOIL here because I have a 2-term times a 2-term, so I use FOIL. All right, so that should be somewhat familiar with you already. Now, if you notice, I still got this term times all this, so I still got multiplication involved. So I got 2 terms here, and now I have 4 terms here. All right, so if I keep it like this, I'm going to have 8 terms. But you notice in here, I can go ahead and combine terms here. You always want to do that whenever you can. You always want to do that first. So I got 3x and a 4x, so that gives me a 7x. All right. So now I have 2 terms and 3 terms. So when I multiply this out, I'm going to get 6 terms. All right. So I condensed my work for me already. So here we go. Now we just doing what we did before. So x times x squared is x cubed. X times 7x is plus 7x squared. Then x times 12 is 12x. Then negative 1 times x squared is negative x squared. Negative 1 times 7 is negative 7x. And then negative 1 times 12 is negative 12. Now we combine like terms. So that's the only cubic, so that's nice. Quadratic, there's 2 of them, so I got a 7 minus 1 is a 6x squared. Linear terms, 12 minus 7 is what? 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5, using the fingers again. So plus 5x, and then minus 12. And we are done.